All right, strap yourselves in because we are going deep into your March horoscope, and wow, this one's a doozy.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
We're talking about straight-up, unfiltered predictions from the one and only Lorenzo, and he doesn't exactly sugarcoat things, does he?
Not a chance. His horoscopes are like a shot of espresso, strong and bold, and they might leave you buzzing for a while.
You guys know we love Lorenzo, so you sent this horoscope our way, and now we're going to break it down for you week by week.
What's so cool is that he lays it out in such a clear way, even if the message itself is a little tough love, you know?
Yeah, tough love for sure. So week 1, March 1st to the 10th, he calls in career pressure cooker, which already sounds kind of intimidating.
Yeah, he's not messing around. He's basically saying your career is front and center this week, like all eyes are on you.
Okay, so no time to slack off then, huh? If you've been coasting, this might be a bit of a wake-up call.
And not just any wake-up call. The decisions you make this week could have some serious long-term consequences, so be strategic.
This is like everything you make is being watched and judged. It's giving very Big Brother vibes.
He's really emphasizing authenticity and hard work during this period. You can't just fake it till you make it this time.
Got it. Honesty and hustle are the keywords for week 1. All right, moving on to week 2, March 11th to the 20th, ghosts of the past resurface. Now, that sounds a lot more dramatic.
It gets a bit more personal this week, maybe a little uncomfortable. He's talking about those unresolved issues coming back to haunt you.
Oh, everyone has those things they'd rather forget, right? But it sounds like there's no escaping them this week.
It's time to face those ghosts head-on, past mistakes, old relationships, even just those lingering regrets.
So it's not just about other people from the past. It's also about confronting our own past choices and maybe some unfulfilled desires.
You hit the nail on the head. It's a week for some serious soul-searching and, maybe some uncomfortable realizations.
Deep, deep stuff. I'm already feeling the need to meditate or something. But week 3, March 21st to the 31st, that's where things get really real. This is Reality Bites Back.
Yeah, he's definitely not sugarcoating anything. It's a time of reckoning, a cosmic reality check where any illusions you've been clinging to just shatter.
So if you've been pretending everything's okay, this is the week those facades crumble.
Time to face the music, especially in your career, your finances, and your friendships.
So no more sweeping things under the rug. Got it. It's about taking action, making changes, and getting real with ourselves.
He's really highlighting the need for swift action. This is not a time to procrastinate.
Wow, this is a lot of process, and we haven't even gotten to the specific predictions yet.
Well, he breaks it down even further into love and relationships, career and money, and mental and physical health.
Perfect. So let's dive into those details, starting with love and relationships. His message is pretty blunt: no more games. What exactly does that mean?
He's calling out any dishonesty or half-hearted efforts in your relationships. It's time to be real with yourself and your partner.
Okay, so no more pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's about having those tough conversations.
Right. And for those who are single, he suggests that March will test your emotional depth.
So it's about figuring out what you truly want and being brave enough to go after it.
He's really pushing for authenticity and emotional maturity in all your relationships.
Makes sense. Now let's talk about career and money. He calls this section "Pressure is on, no more avoidance." Again, not exactly subtle, is he?
He's not letting up on the career theme this month. If you've been coasting at work, it's going to catch up with you.
So it's time to show up, be reliable, and demonstrate those skills. Basically, it's time to shine.
And for those of you who have been putting in the work, opportunities for growth are on the horizon.
So hard work really does pay off. What about the money side of things, though?
Buckle up, because he warns against reckless spending and ignoring those financial responsibilities. He says a wake-up call is coming.
Okay, I don't like the sound of that. But maybe a good time to check in with our budgets and make sure we're not overspending.
It's all about being responsible and proactive with your finances.
All right, lastly, let's talk mental and physical health, which he simply calls wake-up call. I'm sensing a theme here with his blunt titles.
Yeah, he's definitely sending a strong message about burnout and pushing ourselves too hard.
I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and ignore those signs of exhaustion, but it sounds like March is a month where ignoring those signs could backfire.
He warns of exhaustion, potential health issues, and a forced slowdown if you don't prioritize self-care.
So basically, self-care isn't optional this month.
And it's not just physical health. He also talks about the emotional toll of unresolved issues.
So we need to face those buried emotions and find healthy ways to process them. Got It March is all about facing reality on every level. It's intense, but it feels like this kind of honesty and self-reflection is ultimately what will lead to growth.
It's like he's saying, look, things are going to get real this month, but if you face these challenges, you'll come out stronger and more resilient on the other side.
I like that. Now, Lorenzo doesn't just give us these predictions without context. He also explains the specific astrological influences behind them.
Yeah, and this is where it's just really interesting. He breaks down the influence of several planetary transits like the sun moving from Pisces to Aries and Venus retrograde.
Okay, so let's dive into that. What are some of the key planetary influences he mentions?
Well, he starts with the sun. As we discussed, it's in Pisces, your 10th house of career at the beginning of the month, which is why there's so much focus on work and responsibility. But then on March 20th, it enters Aries, your 11th house of social connections.
So the energy shifts from career to social life.
Precisely. It's like, okay, you've dealt with work. Now let's look at your friendships, your networks, and your future goals.
That makes sense. What about Venus retrograde? You mentioned that earlier, and it didn't sound too positive.
Venus retrograde is all about revisiting the past, reassessing relationships, and facing those uncomfortable truths. And it's happening in Aries, your 11th house, from March 2nd to 27th.
So that explains the whole ghosts of the past theme for week 2.
Exactly. Old friends or lovers might reappear, or maybe you just have to confront those unresolved issues from past relationships. And then on March 28th, Venus re-enters Pisces, your 10th house.
So the focus shifts back to career, but this time with a relationship lens.
Yes. It could be about professional partnerships, public image, or even finding love through work.
Wow, there's so much going on. Are there any other planetary influences we should be aware of?
Definitely. He talked about Lilith in Libra moving to Scorpio on March 28th, which could stir up some drama in your love life and then bring those hidden stressors to the surface.
Oh no, more drama. This is definitely shaping up to be an intense month.
He also mentions Jupiter in Gemini, your first house, which can boost your confidence but also lead to overconfidence.
So it's a double-edged sword. Like we need to be bold, but also stay grounded.
Exactly. It's about channeling that energy wisely. Then there's Saturn in Pisces, your 10th house, which brings those serious career lessons and pressure from authority figures.
Sounds like we can't escape that career focus this month. Anything else?
He talks about Pluto in Aquarius, your 9th house, which could trigger major transformations in your beliefs and worldview. And then there's Mercury retrograde in Aries from March 15th to 30th.
Mercury retrograde is never fun. What does that mean for us?
It can cause communication breakdowns, confusion delays, and since it's happening in Aries, your 11th house, it could affect your social life, friendships, and group projects.
So basically expect miscommunications and misunderstandings galore?
Exactly. It's a time to be extra careful with your words and double-check everything.
Good advice. What about Mars and Uranus? I think you mentioned those too.
Yes, Mars is in Cancer, your 2nd house of finances, which could lead to financial stress and impulsive spending. And Uranus is in Taurus, your 12th house, which might stir up some hidden anxieties and unexpected realizations.
Wow. It's like every planet is throwing something at us this month. But there are also some key dates Lorenzo highlights that we should be aware of, right?
Absolutely. He points to March 14th when there's a total lunar eclipse in Virgo, your 4th house of home and family.
What does that mean for us?
It could bring a major shift in your personal life, maybe involving your living situation, family dynamics, or emotional foundations.
So big changes on the home front. Got it. Any other important dates?
He also mentions March 20th when the sun enters Aries, shifting the focus to your social life, as we discussed. And then on March 29th, there's a new moon and partial solar eclipse in Aries, your 11th house.
Wow, 2 eclipses in 1 month. What's the significance of the solar eclipse?
It represents a powerful reset in your goals, aspirations, and social circles. It's like a fresh start, a chance to align yourself with what truly matters.
Okay, so March is packed with astrological events, and Lorenzo's predictions paint quite a vivid picture of what we can expect.
Indeed. And as we've seen, the major themes he highlights are facing reality, making those tough decisions, and navigating the potential for both breakdown and breakthrough.
It's a lot to take in, but remember, this isn't just about the stars dictating our lives. It's about how you choose to navigate these energies.
Exactly. Astrology provides a roadmap, but you're the one driving the car.
Right, so before we jump into Lorenzo's specific predictions for love, career, money, and health, let's take a quick break.
Welcome back. Now let's get into those specifics. Lorenzo's predictions for love, career, money, and health. Starting with love and relationships, remember his message. No more games.
So, what does no more games actually look like, for us Geminis, specifically those of us in relationships?
Well, he says there's a good chance someone in your life isn't being real with you, or maybe even you're the one putting on a facade.
Ooh, that's got to sting a bit. I guess denial can only last so long, huh?
Right. He doesn't actually specify who's being dishonest, which, kind of adds to the suspense, doesn't it? But he does suggest that this lack of authenticity, it's creating cracks in the foundation of your relationships.
So it's like ignoring a leak, right? You could pretend it's not there, but eventually it's going to cause some serious damage.
He's pushing you to confront those issues head on, maybe some tough conversations, but ultimately, it comes down to fix it or hawk away.
No more sweeping things under the rug. Now, what about the single Geminis out there? Does this no games thing apply to them too?
Definitely. He says that March is going to test your emotional depth. Are you really ready for a meaningful connection, or are you just chasing attention,
That's a good question for all of us to ask, no matter what our relationship status is.
And he hints at some, well, unexpected consequences for those who are just playing the field, without any real intentions.
Okay, get a little karmic there, huh? So it sounds like March is about being intentional with our love lives no matter what our situation is. Now on to career and money. Lorenzo calls this section, "Pressure is on, no more avoidance." I'm starting to think subtle isn't in his vocabulary.
He's serious about this career stuff, If you've been bluffing your way through work, well, it's time to face the music.
It's giving pop quiz energy, like that feeling when you know you haven't studied and the teacher's passing out the tests.
He's really emphasizing hard work, dedication, and taking responsibility. It's time to step up and prove yourself.
So basically, show up, be reliable, and use your skills. Time to shine.
But here's the good news. For those who've been putting in the work, there are some really amazing opportunities coming your way.
So basically, hard work pays off. That's good to know. But what about the money part of all this? What does Lorenzo have to say?
He's got a very clear warning about spending recklessly and, well, ignoring those financial responsibilities. He says a wake-up call's coming, so it's best to be prepared.
Oh, that's not what I wanted to hear. What kind of wake-up call, though? Like a surprise bill or something?
He doesn't say, which is kind of scary, isn't it? But he does say we need to get our finances in order.
Okay, so maybe a good time to check in with that budget and, maybe cut back on some unnecessary spending.
It's about being proactive, right? Not waiting until a problem hits.
All right, lastly, mental and physical health, which he just calls, you guessed it, wake-up call. Is anyone surprised by this at this point?
He paints this really vivid picture. Your mind's racing and your body's screaming for a break.
It's like when you've had way too much coffee, your kid is buzzing, but your body is just done.
He's warning about burnout, big time. Ignoring the signs of exhaustion will really backfire this month.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of, I can push through it, but eventually something's got to give.
And if you don't slow down on your own, well, he's saying you might get forced to, through exhaustion, health issues, something like that.
So self-care is not optional in March.
Right. And it's not just the physical stuff either. It's those emotional issues, too. Those buried emotion, they got to be dealt with.
Find healthy ways to process those feelings. Got it. March is all about facing reality in every aspect of our lives. It's intense, for sure. But I do feel like all this honesty and self-reflection is what will lead to growth. And who doesn't want that, right?
Totally. He's basically saying, hey, things are going to be rough, but you'll get through it and be even stronger because of it.
So before we go any further, let's talk about the planets themselves. Okay, so the planets themselves, right? What's going on out there that's making March so intense?
Well, remember how we talked about the sun being in Pisces at the beginning of the month, putting that spotlight on your career?
Yeah, all eyes on us at work, no room for error.
Right. But then on March 20th, the sun moves into Aries, which changes things quite a bit.
So less pressure at work. Finally, we can breathe.
Well, it's not that simple. It's more like a focus shifts, Aries rules your 11th house, which is all about your hopes and dreams, your social life, all that.
So like, after we've proven ourselves at work, we get to go out and have fun.
Well, use that energy you've built up, those skills you've been honing, and start thinking bigger picture. Connect with people, start new projects, really go after those goals, build for the future.
Got it, got it. All right, now Venus retrograde, that was a big one he talked about, right?
It's huge. And remember, it's happening in Aries in your 11th house, so all that social stuff, expect some bumps in the road.
So like awkward run-ins with exes, saying the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Exactly. You might even find yourself, kind of reassessing friendships or wondering what if about past relationships.
Sounds like a recipe for drama. And then on March 28th, Venus goes back into Pisces, right?
It does, back to your 10th house.
So does that mean back to focusing on work?
Well, yes, but with this whole Venus retrograde energy mixed in, it might make you rethink your career goals or your relationships at work,
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. March is the month of rethinking everything. What about Lilith? I remember him mentioning that one too.
Lilith, the shadow self. Until the 28th, she's in Libra, your 5th house of romance, creativity, putting yourself out there.
Okay, and since it's the shadow self, we're talking about what? Hidden insecurities?
Maybe some jealousy or even self-sabotage when it comes to love.
Oh, fun. So we need to be extra careful not to let our fears get the best of us, right?
And then Lilith moves into Scorpio on the 28th, which is your 6th house.
6th house, that's like work and health, right?
Exactly. So those same shadow dynamics might start popping up in your work life.
More drama to deal with. I swear March is going to be exhausting.
It could be more subtle than that too, Maybe just feeling overwhelmed or having trouble saying no.
So boundaries are important. Got it. Now, what about the other planets? Jupiter, Saturn?
Jupiter is in Gemini, your first house all month, which is awesome. Jupiter is all about expansion. Good luck, feeling good.
Okay, that sounds like a nice change of pace, so we might be feeling more off of it.
Exactly. More optimistic, ready to take risks. But he did say to watch out for getting a little overconfident.
Don't let it go to our heads, basically. Now, what about Saturn? I feel like Saturn is always the party pooper.
Saturn can be tough, yeah. It's all about discipline, hard work, and it's hanging out in Pisces, your 10th house, all month long.
So, more career focus. Is there anything but career this month?
It's about building a strong foundation, learning those tough lessons. Think of Saturn as like a demanding teacher who ultimately wants the best for you.
Okay. Pluto, Uranus, those were the last two, right? What are they up to?
Pluto is in Aquarius, your 9th house. It's all about those big transformations, like maybe a shift in your beliefs or a sudden desire to travel the world.
So basically, Pluto's here to shake things up.
And then we've got Mercury retrograde, of course, in Aries, your 11th house, from the 15th to the 30th.
Ah, yes, everyone's favorite. Miscommunications, tech issues, general chaos.
So be extra careful with your communication, double check everything, you know the drill.
Got it. And Mars and Uranus, those were the last two, right?
Yep. Mars is in Cancer, your 2nd house of finances, so watch out for impulsive spending.
Easy for you to say. All right, what about Uranus?
Uranus is in Taurus, your 12th house, so, things might feel a little unsettling, a little unpredictable.
So basically, expect the unexpected. Okay, this is a lot, and we've only talked about the planets.
I know, right? There are also the eclipses you mentioned.
Oh yeah, that's right. Don't we have like 2 eclipses this month?
We do. First, there's the lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 14th.
Okay, remind me, what do lunar eclipses usually bring?
Endings, completions, emotional stuff, and this one is in your 4th house of home and family.
So big changes on the home front.
Could be, yeah. Maybe even just a time to let go of some emotional baggage.
All right, and then the second eclipse?
That's a solar eclipse in Aries, your 11th house, on March 29th.
Solar eclipses are new beginnings, right?
Exactly. Fresh starts. And since it's in your 11th house, it could bring new friends, new projects, really shake up your social life in a good way.
Okay, I think my brain is officially full. March sounds intense, but also kind of exciting.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but if you face those challenges head on, there's so much potential for growth.
So maybe the takeaway here is be prepared for anything, but also be open to the possibility.
Exactly. You got it.
Well, that's Lorenzo's predictions for Gemini in March. Definitely a lot to unpack there. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, no matter what the stars have in store for you, you always have the power to choose how